For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On the morning of a crisp autumn day in 2012, 29-year-old solo traveler Naomi Sterling left her small hostel near Fujikawa Guchiko, nestled on the edge of Japan's vast Aokigahara forest. She was headed for scenic lake views, but never checked back in. Despite an immediate harrowing search led by local authorities and volunteers, extending for weeks through the dense, disorienting woodland, Naomi vanished without a single trace. It was as if the ancient, silent forest itself had swallowed her whole. For 10 agonizing years, her family back home lived with suffocating uncertainty and a constant ache for answers, an ocean away from Japan. Then, in 2022, a startling discovery was made deep within Aokigahara's desolate interior. A sun-faded daypack, eerily tethered with climbing cord to a gnarled cedar tree. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Naomi Sterling in Japan's infamous Sea of Trees. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Naomi Sterling, a 29-year-old solo traveler, had embarked on an ambitious journey across Japan, drawn by its rich cultural tapestry and breathtaking natural landscapes. Her adventurous spirit had led her from bustling cityscapes to serene ancient temples, culminating in a planned visit to the Yamanashi Prefecture, an area famed for its majestic views of Mount Fuji and the enigmatic Aokigahara forest. Aokigahara, often referred to as the Sea of Trees, presented a stark contrast to the vibrant urban centers Naomi had previously explored. This dense primordial forest, situated at the northwestern base of Mount Fuji, was a labyrinthine expanse of gnarled trees, thick undergrowth, and moss-covered volcanic rock. Its unique geological composition, including magnetic anomalies, often rendered compasses unreliable, adding to its disorienting nature. The forest floor concealed numerous features, including the rims of ancient lava tubes, some plunging unexpectedly into hidden depths, making it a place of both stark beauty and treacherous terrain. In 2012, while staying at a hostel near the forest's edge, Naomi informed the staff of her intention to venture into Aokigahara. Her goal was to find elevated vantage points that offered panoramic lake views and, if weather permitted, a clear sight of Mount Fuji, which she hoped to capture with her camera. She departed that morning, equipped with a daypack and the casual promise of returning by evening. As the day progressed, her absence became increasingly noticeable. Evening turned into night, and Naomi Sterling did not check back into her hostel. Her bed remained empty. The initial mild concern among the staff gradually escalated into a more serious apprehension as dawn broke the following day without any sign of her return. The alarm was officially raised. Local authorities were notified, and a preliminary search commenced. Yet the vast, unforgiving expanse of Aokigahara offered no immediate answers. Naomi Sterling had simply vanished, leaving behind no note, no struggle, and no discernible trace of her passage into the dense, silent woods. Her disappearance was absolute, a sudden void where a vibrant life had been, swallowed by the forest's impenetrable depths. The alarm for Naomi Sterling's disappearance triggered an immediate, though challenging, response from local authorities and the Yamanashi Prefecture search and rescue teams. Haruto Sato, a seasoned SAR lead with years of experience navigating the treacherous Aokigahara terrain, spearheaded the initial efforts. Sato understood the forest's unique ability to confound even the most experienced trackers, its dense canopy swallowing sunlight and sound, its uneven floor hiding treacherous pitfalls and the rims of ancient lava tubes. The search for Naomi commenced with urgency. Teams fanned out, attempting to cover vast swathes of the disorienting landscape. Their efforts were hampered by the forest's inherent complexities. Magnetic anomalies within the volcanic rock often rendered compasses unreliable, forcing searchers to rely on visual markers that quickly vanished amidst the uniform density of trees. The thick moss and undergrowth made it difficult to discern recent footprints or disturbances. The topography, a maze of gnarled roots, fallen trees and hidden depressions, slowed progress to a crawl. Visibility was often limited to only a few meters, even in daylight, creating a claustrophobic environment that compounded the difficulty of locating a single individual. Despite the exhaustive efforts, days of meticulous searching yielded no significant clues. There was no discarded equipment, no sign of struggle, no personal effects that could be definitively linked to Naomi Sterling. The limited resources and forensic techniques available to search teams in 2012 meant they were largely reliant on traditional ground searches and visual inspection, methods often rendered ineffective by Aokigahara's formidable natural defenses. As the initial days bled into weeks, the lack of any tangible lead began to wear on the investigators. Hope, initially fervent, steadily receded. The vastness of the forest seemed to mock their efforts, and Naomi Sterling remained an elusive phantom, seemingly absorbed by the silent, unyielding depths of the sea of trees. As weeks turned into months, the initial fervor of the search for Naomi Sterling inevitably waned. Every accessible path, every known lava tube, and every visible section of the forest within the designated search grid had been meticulously combed, yet yielded nothing. The dense canopy, the disorienting terrain, and the sheer vastness of Aokigahara had proven an insurmountable barrier. With no new leads emerging and the cost of sustained operations becoming prohibitive, the official search efforts were gradually scaled back. Specialized teams, including Haruto Sato's SR unit, concluded their active ground operations, leaving behind only the lingering hope that some future accidental discovery might surface. The case, though never formally closed, transitioned into the dormant category of a cold file, a silent testament to the forest's formidable ability to conceal its secrets. A decade then passed, an agonizing span of 10 years for anyone connected to Naomi Sterling. For her family, it was a period of perpetual limbo, a life lived without closure, haunted by the unanswered question of what had transpired in those silent woods. For the local authorities, her name became another entry in a growing list of unsolved disappearances associated with Aokigahara, a file occasionally reviewed, but with no new intelligence to propel it forward. The initial public interest faded, replaced by other news cycles, other mysteries. Naomi Sterling's story, once a subject of urgent concern, receded from collective memory, becoming a quiet, persistent ache for a select few. Such cold cases linger in the periphery, open but inactive, their details gathering dust in filing cabinets. They represent the limits of human endeavor against the indifference of nature, or perhaps something more sinister. Naomi Sterling had become an enigma, a statistic in the lore of a forest already steeped in its own chilling reputation. She was, to all intents and purposes, swallowed whole by the sea of trees, her fate sealed within its impenetrable depths, leaving behind only a void and a haunting, unanswered question that echoed through the years. The forest had claimed another, and for a full decade, it seemed it would hold its secret forever. A decade had passed since Naomi Sterling's disappearance, 10 years swallowed by the relentless silence of Aokigahara. The world had moved on, but the forest, an indifferent keeper of secrets, continued its slow, inexorable growth. It was amidst this enduring stillness in the late autumn of 2022 that the long-dormant mystery was abruptly reawakened. Village Warden Kenta Arai, conducting a routine perimeter check along one of the lesser-traveled paths that bordered the designated search zones from years prior, made a discovery that would shatter the decade of quiet. Partially obscured by a thicket of dwarf bamboo and low-hanging branches, a sun-faded daypack lay tethered to the gnarled roots of an ancient cedar tree. Its once vibrant fabric had bleached to a pale, indistinguishable hue by years of exposure to sun, rain, and snow. The material was brittle to the touch, and patches of moss had begun to colonize its surface, blending it further into the forest floor. What immediately drew Arai's attention was the method of its attachment. A length of climbing cord, weathered and stiff, meticulously secured the pack to the tree, suggesting an intentional act rather than a casual discard. The warden, accustomed to the occasional detritus left by hikers, recognized the stark difference in this find. He carefully documented its position before alerting local police. The daypack, once retrieved, underwent preliminary examination. Inside, among other water-damaged personal effects, a small laminated identification card bearing the name Naomi Sterling was found. The faded photograph on the card matched the description of the young woman who had vanished a decade earlier. The discovery sent a jolt through the local community and reignited the cold case that had haunted investigators for so long. Naomi Sterling's name, once a whisper of an unsolved mystery, was now at the forefront of a renewed inquiry. The sun-faded daypack, tethered to a cedar, was not merely a forgotten item. It was the first tangible lead in 10 years, a silent testament to her presence, offering a fragile thread of hope, yet simultaneously raising a multitude of fresh, unsettling questions. The discovery of Naomi Sterling's daypack immediately shattered the decade-long dormancy of her missing person case. What had been a cold file, a haunting mystery relegated to the archives, was now abruptly reactivated, commanding the full attention of authorities. Investigators, many of whom remembered the original fruitless search, approached the resurrected inquiry with a renewed sense of urgency and the weight of a decade of unanswered questions. The sun-faded daypack became the primary artifact of the new investigation. It was transported to a specialized forensic laboratory, where every inch of its weathered surface and every item within its water-damaged interior was subjected to meticulous examination. Forensic scientists worked with extreme caution, aware that 10 years of exposure to the elements could easily destroy fragile evidence. Contents were carefully catalogued, photographed, and sent for analysis, hoping to uncover any preserved DNA, fingerprints, or microfibers that had withstood the relentless passage of time. The climbing cord, specifically, underwent intense scrutiny, its knots and wear patterns offering potential clues. As the international implications of the case became apparent, particularly concerning communication with Naomi's family, interpreter Miki Ogawa was brought into the fold, ensuring accurate and sensitive information exchange. Meanwhile, the scene of the discovery itself became a critical focal point. Haruto Sato, the veteran SAR lead who had spearheaded the initial search in 2012, was recalled. Returning to the gnarled cedar tree, the original limited search techniques were replaced by advanced forensic methods unavailable a decade prior. Ground-penetrating radar scanned the immediate area, drones provided overhead thermal and visual mapping, and specialized teams meticulously sifted through soil and undergrowth for any trace evidence, hoping to find what the forest had so perfectly concealed for so long. Initial speculation immediately centered on the nature of the daypack's tethering. The deliberate use of climbing cord to secure it to the cedar raised profound questions. Was it a precautionary measure by Naomi, securing her belongings before an ascent or descent in treacherous terrain? Was it a marker, left to guide her back? Or did the precise, almost ritualistic attachment suggest a more complex scenario, perhaps an act of desperation, or even the intervention of another party? The answers, if they existed, lay hidden within the fragile evidence and the enduring silence of Aokigahara. Deep within the sun-faded daypack, shielded by layers of damp fabric and the passage of time, investigators discovered a small digital camera. Its casing showed signs of extensive weather exposure, but a flickering power indicator offered a fragile glimmer of hope. Technicians meticulously extracted its memory card, a critical piece of evidence that had lain dormant for a decade. The images, captured using the camera's timer function, revealed a series of self-portraits of Naomi, documenting her journey into the forest. More critically, the final sequence of photographs captured the rapid approach of a severe storm front. The sky in these images was a tumultuous canvas of dark, heavy clouds, with rain beginning to obscure the distant trees. These time-stamped photographs provided an invaluable chronological anchor, placing Naomi in the forest during a specific, violent weather event. Concurrently, forensic botanists turned their attention to the climbing cord that had tethered the daypack to the cedar tree. Employing the meticulous process of moss growth dating, an emerging forensic technique, experts analyzed the species and growth patterns of the bryophytes that had colonized the cord. This highly specialized analysis allowed them to precisely narrow the window during which the cord had been exposed to the elements. The conclusion was startlingly specific. The cord had been secured to the cedar tree during Naomi's final week in the forest, aligning with the period of her disappearance. The convergence of these two distinct pieces of evidence was profound. The camera's visual record of a storm, time-stamped to a precise date, aligned perfectly with the botanical dating of the moss, which indicated the cord had been exposed around that very same period. This scientific corroboration eliminated years of uncertainty, transforming a vague timeline into a sharply defined period of Naomi's last known movements. Crucially, the final camera images, taken just before the storm broke, showed a distinctive geological feature in the background, a subtle depression in the forest floor, partially obscured by dense foliage. Experts, cross-referencing these visual cues with advanced topographical maps and historical surveys of Aokigahara, identified this as a previously unsearched hidden sink, a deep, funnel-shaped depression characteristic of the lava tube landscape, often concealed by the thick canopy. This discovery dramatically relocated the focus of the investigation, providing the first concrete direction in a decade. Haruto Sato, now re-engaged with an unprecedented level of detailed intelligence, prepared his SAR teams. The search was no longer a vast, indiscriminate sweep, but a highly targeted operation, directed by the irrefutable evidence of Naomi's final moments. The sea of trees, which had held its secret for a decade, was finally beginning to yield its truth. Armed with precise coordinates from the camera's final images and moss dating, Haruto Sato's search and rescue team launched their most targeted operation yet. The hidden sink, a deep, bowl-shaped depression, presented a treacherous, almost vertical descent, its walls slick with moss and volcanic scree. The dense canopy overhead created an eerie, perpetual twilight. This location, expertly concealed by the forest's growth, had been overlooked by initial, broader searches. After hours of meticulous, rope-assisted descent, the team made the somber discovery. At the bottom of the sink, partially covered by debris, lay Naomi Sterling's remains. The scene provided the final, chilling pieces of the puzzle. The climbing cord, identical to that found with her daypack, was still partially attached to a sturdy root at the sink's rim, its other end leading towards her. Investigators concluded Naomi, caught by the sudden, violent storm captured in her final photographs, had sought shelter or a better vantage point from the treacherous lava tube rim. She had likely tethered her daypack and herself, a common safety measure. However, the storm's fury, combined with the slick, unstable ground, caused her to lose footing, sending her plummeting into the unseen depths. The injury sustained would have been unsurvivable. News of the discovery, while heartbreaking, brought profound resolution after a decade of agonizing uncertainty. For Naomi's family, the tragic truth offered the closure they desperately sought. The long, silent void was finally filled with a factual, somber narrative. Village warden Kenta Arai, whose chance discovery initiated the breakthrough, reflected on the forest's capacity to both conceal and reveal. Interpreter Miki Ogawa felt the heavy burden of delivering the final message, yet also the quiet satisfaction of a mystery resolved. For Haruto Sato, it was a vindication of persistence. He knew the forest held its secrets tightly, but also that with new techniques and unwavering dedication, even enduring enigmas could be unraveled. Naomi Sterling's story became a testament not only to Aokigahara's unforgiving perils, but also to truth's relentless pursuit through scientific innovation. Her disappearance, once a haunting legend, transformed into a meticulously documented tragedy, underscoring modern forensics' power to pierce through time and nature, finally bringing peace to a decade-long mystery.